Hey, Jean-Jerome.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to everyone who is joining us tonight. I think we're on episode 31. So
31,
it is 31, isn't it? Wow.
31 episodes, yes.
31 episodes. So welcome to everyone who's joined us tonight. And also welcome to Jean-Jerome, who is my co-host.
Well,
and
welcome, everybody.
I want to do a special welcome to our honored and special guest, Ofunshi Oba Koso. He is a Babalawo and Shaman. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation. And there's also going to be a translation. I believe, Jean-Jerome, you're going to be translating from English to Spanish.
That's
right. I hope that everybody gets a chance to tune in. Also, those who are Spanish speaking. And so we're going to start our show, shall we? Okay. Yeah. But before we do, Jean-Jerome, you need to read the bio, please.
Yes. So, primero, buenas noches, Burubuya, Bocheche, a todos los que nos escuchan en español. Este episodio 31 va a ser bilingüe. Voy a estar traduciendo para Ofunshi Oba Koso, un buen amigo, Babalawo, y uno de los señores que mi mamá le tenía mucho cariño y mucho aprecio, que en paz descanse. Y si estamos aquí es gracias también a mi mamá y al espíritu de mi mamá, que siempre, nunca está lejos. So I was saying that I wanted to welcome everybody to episode 31, and it's my pleasure to greet my brother, my friend, fellow Babalawo, and someone whom my mom had a lot of love and appreciation for. And if we are together tonight, in large part or great part, it's because of her.
Oh, nice.
So
thank you.
I'll read the bio. So Ofunshi Oba Koso is a traditional healer and spiritual diviner, known as a Babalawo from the Yoruba religious tradition, trained from an early age by both Lucumi and traditional Yoruba elders. Ofunshi brings a unique perspective of African spirituality through his vast knowledge of Afro-Cuban syncretic religious practices such as Santeria, Lucumi, and Palo Monte, as well as Ifa, as it is practiced in West Africa today. Baba Ofunshi was chosen by a divine oracle to carry his family's ancestral staff, and he'll go into that during the our presentation, which has been passed down from generation to generation to uphold the traditions of his ancestors. His wisdom and traditional knowledge are widely respected, and his counsel has been sought not only in religious realm, but also in social and political arenas. In addition to his work as a spiritual guide to many, he is also actively involved in global movements to improve the lives and conditions of Africans and African descendants. Ofunshi's most recent activities include serving as a member of the International Coordinating Committee and panelist for the first World Summit of Afro-descendants held in Honduras, August 2011, presenting a paper on spirituality and tradition at the International Meeting of Writers and Poets of African, Indigenous, and Sino-descent in Costa Rica, October 2011, as well as serving as a delegate to the United Nations for the General Assembly high-level meeting on the 10th anniversary of the Durban Declaration and Program of Action in September 2011. Baba Ofunshi also serves as a member of the steering committee for the new Department of Afro-descendant, Indigenous, and Sino-descendent Studies at the National University of Costa Rica. Baba Ofunshi holds a degree in cultural analysis and promotion from the University of Havana. Bienvenido, welcome.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you so much.
My dog. He chooses tonight to give me
don't
a
worry,
big kiss.
okay.
Anyway, so yes, welcome. Oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome. So first of all, being a Babalawo and a shaman, and at an early age being trained in Lucumi, could you tell us a little bit about that and how that started for you? Had a lot of that to do with your African-Cuban descent, obviously. And whoa, sorry, he's a big dog. Okay. Oops. Oh dear. Poor Stash. Okay.
So, well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. My brother Babalawo, Jean, he will interpret for me because many Spanish people see your program because this is beautiful and interesting program. So I will speak Spanish and Jean, he will speak English because many people follow this program. So,
Oh, nice.
thank you so much. Gracias por darnos la oportunidad de estar en el programa a ustedes. De hecho, esto es algo pendiente que tenemos de hace mucho tiempo. Tengo que agradecerla a Jan.
Yeah, so he says, thank you for the invitation to the program. He says, reality, this reunion is long in the making or a long time coming, and he wants to thank for the opportunity tonight.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So, just to...
So my focus, yeah, go ahead.
No. Yes. I go ahead. Sorry.
So my focus today is not only who is Ofunshi. I think the focus today is what happened today in the world, what happened in spirituality world. Pienso que el enfoque de hoy no es tanto Ofunshi, que por supuesto voy a hablar un poquito de quién es Ofunshi, sino también profundizar un poquito desde mi punto de vista qué está aconteciendo con ese gran desbalance que está sucediendo en el mundo de hoy.
Yeah, as Ofunshi has already partly translated, his focus is not just about Ofunshi, the name Ofunshi, his origin, his spiritual legacy, but also about the situations happening both spiritually and physically in the world. And that's what he wants a little bit, and socially in the world, he wants to talk about.
Okay, all right. So, should we start from the beginning of how you got started into Lucumi at an early age? Could you give us a little bit of background on that and how that came to be?
¿Cómo tú empezaste dentro de la religión Lucumi? ¿Cómo fue, cuál fue los primeros pasos que tú diste dentro de Lucumi? ¿A qué edad?
No voy a decir mi edad porque la gente se me va a asustar.
So I'm not going to say my age because people are going to get scared.
I doubt it.
Pero la espiritualidad conserva el físico, la espiritualidad conserva que uno se vea joven.
Yeah, but spirituality helps you to look and appear young.
Pero ya cuando ven esto blanco aquí, ya sabemos que pasamos los 50.
It says, but when you see this white, you know that I'm past 50.
Quiere decir
Like me.
que no estoy aquí para corregir conceptos, pero mi introducción a la espiritualidad o al mundo o a la cultura o a la cosmovisión Yoruba, Lucumi, ese collage sin aplicar el nombre de religión, puesto que religión es dogmatismo, viene desde muy pequeño, es base de familia.
He said, I'll just translate. He says, really to describe, the belief system as a religion, which is dogmatic, is not really appropriate, nor to try to classify or, put in silos the different religious belief system. But let's just say that his present in this kaleidoscope of religious beliefs, which represent the Afro-Cuban descendant beliefs, started at a very young age.
Okay. All right. All right. And
Mi abuelo, my grandfather, he died 106 years old. Mi abuelo murió de 106 años.
His grandfather died at
fue uno de
106.
mis grandes maestros.
And was one of his great
Mi
teachers.
familia es longeva.
Mhm.
Mi papá de casi 100 años.
His father, in turn,
mi mamá también anciana. Y todo este entrenamiento de manera natural, de manera orgánica, viene desde pequeño, sin imposición. Todo es de una manera orgánica, que es a lo que llamamos espiritualidad.
All of this that he was taught from, again, his grandfather dies at 106, his father is in 100, his mother very old. All of this teachings were not imposed, but it was organic. I mean, literally, it was part of the fabric of his family.
Right, being of Afro-Cuban descent.
Yeah.
Pero no solamente Afro-Cuban, puesto que mi abuelo era congolés.
His grandfather was from the Congo.
Ah.
Y mi familia, por parte de padre, de la tribu Tikar, de Camerún.
And from the family, on the other part, from the Tiku group in Cameroon.
Ah, okay.
Sabemos el poder de los Tikar con relación a la mente, a la espiritualidad, pero también a la longevidad.
And a particular aspect of the Tikan people is their spirituality, but also their spirituality translated in longevity.
Ah, interesting.
Independientemente de que los Tikar son conocidos por su arte.
And Tikars are also known for their art.
Okay.
Pero todo ese collage fue incrementado desde muy pequeño. Pero también soy vidente. Y eso es otra condición que le agrega salsa a estas sustancias ricas dentro de la espiritualidad.
Actually. He says, not only did he grow up with this culture, this collage from an early age, but on top of that is that he has the gift of sight. And he says that gift of sight adds this salsa, the flavor, to this already interesting mix or cultural collage that represents his heritage.
Nice.
Por tanto, ya a pasar de los años, siendo mis padres iniciados, está yo
Whoops.
He pressed the button. He'll be back. He just pressed the wrong button.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes.
So
well,
his parents were initiated as well. So, and that's where he pushed.
It was a very natural,
very organic.
procession for him to be initiated. I wanted to ask him if, when he does come back, if you can ask him how his practice of Santeria, Lucumi, and Palo Monte sort of mesh together, and to first describe and explain what Palo Monte is for us.
Yeah, I will do that as soon as he comes back on. Give him a chance.
Sorry about the earlier disturbance, but Stasha came over, and then as soon as he was leaving, he knocked the table over. He's a big boy.
Sean called him Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot. That's
Bigfoot
it.
came through.
And then,
Bigfoot came through.
truly, Sean. And then, of course, and then I've got my freaking weasel here, my cat who keeps wanting to jump up, and I keep telling her not to. But you know, this is who she is. This is Kicha. Anyway, okay, get lost. There we go. All right, she made her appearance, and that's that. So, no, I think that this is amazing that this gentleman, our guest tonight, is a very special guest, and he is also that he's actually represented the African and Cuban people through the United Nations and his practice.
That's right. That's right.
So this really
and for a number of years, he really has dedicated a lot of time to that.
And he has a link with your mom, right?
Yeah, well, he met my mom. We had the privilege of, and
yeah,
that's
because you
where
showed the picture.
Yeah, we got together, and my mom was very happy to meet him, and as well because of his Congo background as well, right? There's a very strong Congo and Tika background.
When did your mom meet him?
Well, my mom met him really a few years before she passed away. So that would have been in 2014, 2013.
Okay. So a number of years ago they met. Was it through her working, as well as
Oh, actually, so how we met is I'll go into this while he reconnects. There he is. We were doing a series at York University and for 2 years on spiritual belief systems. And Ofunshi was one of the guests that came to speak on the Afro-descendant belief systems. And when at that time my mom was still alive, they met and they get a chance to chat and talk about the religion and everything else, right? So
nice. That's awesome. So yeah, and definitely I want to know more about this ancestral staff that he carries and what that represents. Because that has more to do with his shamanic path, I would assume.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
¿Ahora se puede ver bien?
Sí, se ve perfecto.
Welcome back.
Ya, no. Siempre la tecnología es así.
Yeah.
Vamos a culpar a Ed Gungun.
It says we're gonna blame Ed Gungun on this.
Blame the ancestors.
Sí, hermano.
Parece que estamos teniendo problemas de
¿Me escucha?
No puedo escucharla ya.
Can you hear me?
Vamos a volver.
He's having audio issues.
Okay. Well, he's very much in demand. There's a lot of people that obviously connect with him, and he gets a lot of phone calls. I mean,
Yeah, he tried to block his phone and everything else, so the calls wouldn't come in. But that sometimes meets with limited success.
It's what happens, right? When you're that popular.
Viene y says, hay demasiado espíritu para la tecnología. There's too much spiritual energy. The technology can't handle
it. Yes, that too. For sure. No, I want to know more how he became involved in the political arena, as well as being a spiritual guide. What were the steps? Was it spirit that led him that way, or was it something that he had studied? Because he's very well educated as well. That's the one thing that I do know about Cuban people, that they're very well educated. The university in Havana is world renowned, and it is a very good university too.
Yeah. ¿No escucha?
Sí, ahora sí.
Okay, boo.
Parece que la tecnología está haciendo sabotaje de nosotros. Anyway.
So, espiritista, dejamos que tú eres evidente.
Sí,
Y ahí se cortó.
sí. Entonces, como estaba explicando, se crea ese collage muy orgánico de ser también vidente y cuando uno combina ese lado vidente, como dije, le pone esa salsa rica a todo lo que viene detrás con cuando uno se inicia como Babalawo y también cuando uno pasa después de un entrenamiento riguroso de años entrenando a Babalawo.
Yeah, he says that coming from that original kaleidoscope in terms of its heritage to then crowning Orisha, becoming Babalawo Orisha, and then and having that spiritual gift of sight that he has, and then after years of study, finally being initiated to Ifa and becoming a Babalawo.
Okay, all right.
En mi caso particular, puesto que se refieren a mí, yo no llego a Babalawo de manera, como decimos, en el sistema contemporáneo. El sistema contemporáneo de IFA es más mercantil que un entrenamiento durante años para poder llegar realmente a ser Babalawo.
Yeah, he says he takes a route of study, of great, because he said today, makes reference today, many times a person is initiated without any training, without any background, and then all of a sudden they start using the term Babalawo, as opposed to, having years of training, then finally having the ceremonies, but already being trained. In other words, it's not just, here's the initiation, knock yourself out, right? It's
No, I agree.
an arduous, lengthy time of study.
Good for him. Exactly.
Por tanto, Funchi, desde muy pequeño, al convivir con mi abuelo que murió de 106 años, que era sabio, que hablaban lo necesario y donde el aprendizaje era visual y práctico, preguntando poco.
Yeah, he says his grandfather, he had the virtue of, having that resource of his grandfather, who was a man of few words, but had, great insight, great wisdom and knowledge, and would just speak the just and necessary.
La familia, las amistades o ese grupo, reitero, espiritual, o esa cultura que es parte de esa espiritualidad muy rica, pues es la que hace que Ofunshi sea quien es realmente en el día de hoy.
He says that sort of community, right, of his grandparents, his parents, and friends and religious friends, growing up in that community, is really what led to Ofunshi becoming the man and going the path that he did.
Donde la paciencia, donde para lograr ser el Ofunshi de hoy, tuvo que pasar por ese recorrido complejo de entender qué es realmente la paciencia, qué es realmente la tolerancia, para poder entender el mundo de hoy, para poder entender a las personas y para poderme entender a mí mismo como individuo, como persona.
Yeah, what really shaped him was from his grandparents, grandfather especially, and his parents and his community, was the teaching of tolerance and patience, and to understand what that really means in a spiritual context and in terms of the pursuit of a religious path.
Tengo que agradecer también a mi fortalecimiento espiritual y de sabiduría a mi mamá, que era Babalawo.
Yes, so thank very much, his mother, Babalawo. for strengthening him.
Pero una chamana de alto nivel, tengo que agradecerle a mi papá también, que era chamán de alto nivel. Cuando me refiero chamán y chamana de alto nivel, me refiero que independientemente de su sabiduría, también eran herbalistas. Y un buen babalawo, un buen chamán, si no conoce la naturaleza, si no es capaz de descodificar los símbolos o el lenguaje de la naturaleza, respetando quien me esté escuchando, le falta una pata a la mesa, o le falta una parte de él.
Yeah, he says, and also he refers to his parent, although they were Ialoricha, Babaloricha, he refers to, uses the word shaman because they were both very good herbalists. They had a very good understanding of plants, their uses, both magic and healing. And he says that with all the respect to, any Babalao or anybody or Orisha listening, that in order to walk this path, you need a strong understanding of the plants, because that represents one of the legs of the table, right? Which represents the table of your knowledge and your preparation as a priest.
A eso le suma también el respeto. Si no hay respeto no solamente a la naturaleza, sino a uno como individuo, tampoco uno va a ser capaz de ser un buen babalawo o chamán con relación ni a las personas ni al mundo que vivimos hoy.
It says, and fundamental as well is the notion of respect, and respect to nature, respect to the belief, respect to the Mother Earth, and because without that respect, there's no way you can be a good babalao, a good priest.
No, for sure.
Entonces, en sentido general, Ofunshi es un collage de muchas cosas. Y ustedes se preguntan a mucha gente, bueno, si es babalao, ¿por qué es chamán? Porque un babalawo es un chamán. Es padre de los misterios. Babalawo es padre de los misterios, pero un chamán también es aquella persona que tiene la capacidad de poder danzar de manera orgánica en el mundo de los misterios.
Okay, so he basically says many may ask why Babalao and Shaman, why the use of the two terms.
Absolutely.
And he says, well, Babalao really represents the father of secrets. Babalawo means father of secrets. But a Babalao is a shaman in the sense that a shaman, in his definition or way of defining, is the one who is capable of dancing in this world of mysteries and secrets.
Absolutely.
And vibing, reverberating, having that resonance with that world.
Walking both worlds.
Yeah.
En mi caso particular, que he tenido la oportunidad de convivir con muchas culturas, he puesto en práctica entonces ese proceso de mutación espiritual. Y ahora voy a explicar.
Yeah, and he says, and given the fact that he's had the opportunity, the privilege to work with and share with very different cultures, many different cultures, he's had an opportunity to adapt or to really show that adaptability in the belief.
Y mutación espiritual
and
no
mutation,
es más
spiritual mutation.
Cuando tú estás, por ejemplo, con los Hmong, la cultura Hmong, cuando tú estás con la cultura Hmong, ellos no entienden el concepto, la palabra babalao, pero sí chamán. Por tanto, ellos no te van a decir babalao o funchi, te van a decir shaman o funchi.
Oh, shit. He said, he uses the example of the Hmong, which is a particular Asiatic ethnic group, which have shamans, essentially. He says, when you interact with them, being a Babalawo, they don't have that word or that conception of Babalawo, but they do have a conception and recognize that the Babalawo, by what he shows or what he does, is a shaman, because that they do understand.
Cuando estás en Mozambique, no te van a ver como, o sea, te van a ver como sangoma.
When you go to Mozambique, for instance, they won't, again, the word Babalawo won't resonate, but they will see you as a sangoma.
Y así sucesivamente. Y así sucesivamente.
And then as you, the same thing as you go through various examples.
Eso no quiere decir que uno deja de practicar el Ifá. Cuando uno está en la adivinación, simplemente uno mantiene el sistema de adivinación de Ifá, agregando o anexando los elementos de esa cultura para poder ayudar a esa persona, ya sea de la independencia de qué cultura viene.
Ashe. He says not only it doesn't mean that you turn your back or don't practice as a Babalawo, but the idea is that you keep or focus on the communication or the divination system, but you annex to it, you add to that divination system contextual remedies and language, and see from the land where you are or the people that you're dealing with to better help the actual person you're trying to help.
Porque Ifá es universal.
Because Ifá, truthfully, is universal.
Ifá recorrió todas las tierras.
Ifá traveled all the lands.
Entonces, ¿qué sucede en la diáspora? En la diáspora, y de manera constructiva, se crea una ruptura de esos conceptos que en el pasado existieron.
It says that in the diaspora, you get into sort of, say, a rigid form of thinking, which breaks with the link with the ancient ways of looking at spirituality.
Y cuando me refiero a eso es a la tierra que usted va, haga lo que usted ve hacer. Sin perder tu esencia, sin dejar de ser quien tú eres.
He says, and basically what he's saying is, when you go to the land you go, adapt and do what you see, which is also born in the Odu of Ifá, Okana Rosu. Okana Rosu says, to the land you go, do what you see. Adapt.
Right. That totally makes sense.
Pero también eso tiene que ver con respeto. Que
has to do with respect.
¿Entiendes? Y ese collage es el que te va fortaleciendo tu espiritualidad.
And that collage, that sort of equilibrium or balance and respect for all those different traditions and different spiritual influences is what gives you spiritual fortitude.
Por eso cuando a mí me dicen, Babá, pues usted es religioso, yo le digo, yo no me considero una persona religiosa, porque religión es dogmatismo y yo nunca voy a ser dogmático, jamás.
It dice que he's never, when people say, "Oh, are you religious?" He says, "I'm not religious. I don't think I will ever be religious because I'm not dogmatic. I'm spiritual. I don't follow a certain rule. I just be,
Right. So there's a distinction between being religious and spiritual.
La cosmovisión africana es más de tradición oral que escrita. Por tanto, eso marca la diferencia.
Perdón, digo eso otra vez.
Que la cosmovisión africana o las tradiciones africanas son más de tradición oral que escrita.
Yeah, that's right. He says the African in general, not just West African, but West African spiritual belief systems are more orally transmitted than in writing, by writing.
Right.
Entonces, por eso la importancia de entender y profundizar ese proceso de mutación espiritual.
And that's why it's easier to understand that sense of transmutation, spiritual transmutation or transformation.
Entonces, ese es Ofunshi a grandes rasgos.
That's like a broad brush of who Ofunshi is and his like his philosophy, right?
Right, right.
Donde ahora, sí. Usted dirá.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so then is it safe to say that growing up in Cuba and coming into contact with the Lucumi people and meshing Lucumi and Santeria together, how did that come about? Why Palo Monte? And can you describe what Palo Monte is, please?
Oh, dice, si tú puedes explicar lo que es Palo Monte, o sea, dentro de tú fuiste iniciado o estuviste expuesto a lo que es Enquisi, Palo Monte. Si tú puedes describir un poco qué es lo que es Palo Monte.
Desde mi cosmovisión.
From his optic or his cosmovision.
El mismo nombre lo dice. Es uno de los tantos cultos de tradición africana que por mediación de el palo, el gungun, o sea, los espíritus, los muertos, se trabaja. Eso no quiere decir, por eso dije que antes de uno ser Babalawo, hay un proceso, hay un recorrido largo de entendimiento, de estudio, de profundizar en qué podemos hacer y qué no podemos hacer. Dentro de mi familia había ancianos que practicaban directamente Palo Monte. Por tanto, yo tuve acceso a esa belleza tan natural de el Palo Monte, esa magia rica de la naturaleza, esa combinación bellísima donde uno se adentra realmente a entender la naturaleza, los poderes de la naturaleza.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly translate that. So what he says is that not to get stuck on terminology or, as I say, confines of definition, but what he basically says, the Palo Monte really is the magic and the knowledge, the ancestral knowledge of using natural elements like the different, sticks from the different trees, right? Or essentially the different branches of different trees and other elements, other magical elements, in order to bring forth the messages of it. He used the term egungun, or the term of the ancestors or spirits, in terms of dealing with people's situations or problems or illnesses or what have you. He said he had the privilege again that from a very early age to have many people in his family who were palero, in other words, who practiced Palo Monte,
Exacto.
and who introduced him to that magic, that wonder and magic that is the world of, of that particular spiritual belief system or path.
Right.
Entonces,
okay.
Exactamente, entonces es como un collage.
Right,
pero
it's part of the collage.
Conectado a la naturaleza, sin necesidad de estar utilizando huesos humanos dentro de esa cultura que actualmente, con mi criterio personal, bastante se ha deformado.
Ok, una pregunta, Ofunshi, nada más para estar seguro que te entendí bien. Tú estás diciendo que en tu entender que lo que te decía que el uso de huesos o humanos no es necesario, o ¿O es necesario? Perdón, no te escuché bien.
Mi criterio personal, que el
Ajá.
uso, en mi experiencia, y vuelvo y digo,
Sí, sí.
parte de mi familia es de Matanza,
Ujú.
en mi experiencia, yo nunca vi a mi abuelo utilizando hueso humano, pero sí vi utilizar los poderes, los grandes poderes de la naturaleza.
Así
De
es.
ahí incluso es donde viene Ofunshi, el staff que yo siempre porto, de la
Okay.
naturaleza.
So he says that he never saw his grandfather or the use human remains, and quite often in many houses of Palo in Kisi, they enfumbe, or the one of the secrets
Right.
is the use of a human remain. I
Right.
won't go into the details of how they acquire that, but
Right.
and let's just say it's quite common. But he says in his home and in his grandfather, he never used the human remains. He never used like the bones that way. But in many ways, he says the birth or the genesis of the staff of Ofunshi is what he did see was the use of the wonders and the power and the majesty of nature to command
Right.
and to call forth spirit and to work with spirit.
Incluso
Awesome.
la composición o la base de ese staff es de fósiles. Por tanto, el poder de los fósiles te da la capacidad de poderte trasladar al pasado y te da la capacidad de poder mirar presente y futuro. Por eso me gusta y disfruto trabajar con los fósiles.
He says, in many ways, he's actually releasing one of the ingredients of his staff is the use of fossils. He says fossils, ancient fossils, which is part of his composition of his staff, give you that connection to the ancient past and to communicate with anything that basically inhabits the earth, right? Including the spirit of ancestors, right?
Right.
Through the
So
ages.
again,
Claro,
another form of shamanism.
Dice, entonces es como otra forma de chamanismo.
es otra forma de chamanismo sin dejar la esencia. Por ejemplo, al cabo de los años, cuando yo me inicio, cuando ya los ancianos entendieron que yo estaba listo para hacer IFA, pues simplemente pasé a IFA, pero agregué al sistema, o sea, sin violar los códigos de IFA, agregué ese recorrido o esa experiencia adquirida durante más de 30 años desde pequeño.
Yeah, he says that when finally he was initiated to Ifa as a Babalawo, without betraying, the structure or the sort of the essence of Ifa, he still brought forth or brought into Ifa with him that kaleidoscope, that richness of secrets and spiritual knowledge that he accumulated over those 30 years of family and friends and training.
Right. His ancestry, basically, and bringing it along with him. Of course he would, That's what's so good about Ifa is that it's so accepting of all of that. I know that for myself. I wanted to question, what did it mean to carry the ancestral staff, and who carried it before he did? Could he give us a little bit of history about the ancestral staff, what it means, and how it came to be?
Yeah, ella pregunta si antes que tú te eligieran para cargar el Ofunshi, o sea, tu secreto, ¿quién lo portó antes de ti y cuál es la significación de ese secreto de Ofunshi?
Bueno,
Esa razón de Ofunshi.
primero es un staff de base de familia. Por tanto, ante mi abuelo perteneció a mi tatarabuelo.
So it's passed down through generations. It belonged before his grandfather. It belonged to his, great grandfather and great 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 grandfather.
Wow.
Segundo, se elige quién puede portarlo. Y los ancianos desde pequeños ponen la mirada a quién debe portarlo.
It says it is the person who's going to carry it or have it with them in the future generation is sort of decided by the elders, and they're watched by the elders to know when is the right time and who is the right sort of grandchild or person to carry going forth, right?
And does that involve a lot of spirit? Does spirit get involved in this? And is it the spirit of his ancestors or ancestral guides?
Entonces ella dice, en el concepto de determinar, o el momento de determinar, eso es a través de, o sea, intervención de espíritu, a través de adivinación, de un guía espiritual que se consulta o espíritu que se consulta, o cuál es el método de decidir.
Se reúnen los ancianos.
Ajá.
Y por mediación de ceremonia, los espíritus, los ancestros eligen quién es la persona indicada. Y a partir de ahí se crea un entrenamiento invisible, puesto que uno no sabe que uno es el elegido. Simplemente es un entrenamiento invisible, es riguroso.
Yeah, he says that the elders gather together and they do a series of ceremonies. It is the ancestors that pick through divination, through ancestral divination, the chosen one, if you will. And then an invisible form of training at a spiritual level begins. Rigorous, but basically, the person is no longer alone, type of thing. Like they're spiritually being prepared.
Entonces, al anciano dar la caída, entonces es que se comunica quién es la persona indicada y quién lo va a aportar hasta que dé su caída.
And then only when the current holder of the staff basically passes away, is it communicated officially to who is the recipient of the staff, who in turn will carry it until his demise.
Eso requiere una responsabilidad muy alta.
That carries
muy alta.
Very, very high responsibility.
So he does not know.
Por ejemplo, eso te da acceso a todos los mundos que tú quieras tener acceso.
Yeah, he says that it's a big responsibility because it grants you access to all the spirit realms that you want access to.
Por eso yo he podido recorrer tantas tierras y hasta ahora nunca me han cerrado las puertas.
Ashe, very, very good point. Putting sort of where the rubber hits the road, the proof of this is that staff gives you access to a number of spirit realms and different lands, spiritual lands, cultures, and spiritualities. To the point he's making that, and I just want to call out, Ofunshi is not an independently wealthy man. You understand? Ofunshi is a very hardworking, very modest. He's really practices his belief, and he's not rolling in dough. Okay, so what he's saying is that it is thanks to this spiritual power that he's been able to go all over the world and in places where really you wouldn't ordinarily get access to, and nobody has ever shut the door on him. Nobody's ever been able to say, no, you can't come in.
And this is because of the ancestral staff, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Y por eso uno llega a un nivel de espiritualidad y con mucha modestia tan alto que llega el momento que tú no eres político, tú no eres médico, uno siempre es un mediador. Convertir siempre lo negativo o lo confuso en claro.
Yeah, he says you reach a level of spiritual attunement or development where you're no longer political. Like it's not a question of agendas or, victory or defeat, but more a process of mediation, transformation, helping to find resolution and healing and bringing clarity to situations where otherwise are muddied by agendas or by people's, biases.
Right.
Por ejemplo,
So,
sí, dígame.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just to clarify, is this determined before the next holder of the staff?
Correct.
Of who is going to be the next
Correct.
successor?
Yes.
Is it determined at the moment of the death of the one who holds?
No. What he said was it is determined early on by a gathering of the elders. However, it is kept quiet. Not even the chosen one is told until the time that person passes. Then the community, the remaining elders, communicate to the chosen one, say, "You're the chosen one," and with additional training, they pass on. Literally, pass the baton. They pass the ancestral staff to that next person.
Did it ever come into question that it would have not been him, maybe his brother, if he has any siblings, or was it already predetermined because spirit helped?
Say that again, Teresa?
Was it predetermined, like that it would be him and not a sibling?
Yeah, that's the thing. When the elders get together, they bring forth spirit. They do the ceremonies, they do the appeasements, they do the offerings. At that moment, spirit brings forth and says, so and so is the chosen one. But they don't say anything to that chosen one, because usually the chosen one is a young person or a much younger person.
Okay,
then
that's what I wanted.
Business as usual. Business continues as usual. The person keeps carrying it. When that person finally passes, then they get together. They say, "Okay, you were the chosen one," and then they do the right rituals to transfer the.
Okay.
Siempre,
so now,
siempre uno sintiéndose muy seguro de uno. Cuando Baba Ofunshi habla, Babalawo, Shaman Ofunshi habla muy seguro de sí. Entonces, eso tiene que ver con pensar antes de hablar, analizar antes de expresarse.
Yeah, it says part of the responsibility, part of the mantle, if you will, the mantle that is passed when you get that is always to speak with the highest degree of certainty and confidence, and you attain that by the self-discipline of thinking and deliberating before you speak, before you open your mouth.
Por eso,
because for that reason,
por eso siempre hago mención sobre la situación actual en que vivimos. Vivimos en un mundo egoísta donde las personas entre sí, o sea, hablando en sentido figurado, nos estamos comiendo entre sí.
And which brings him to sort of comment on the current situation right now, where basically he sees a world which is very troubled, where everybody's sort of it's dog eat dog, to use the metaphor, English metaphor. We're in a dog eat dog world where there's no concern or empathy or respect for your fellow man or woman.
No, absolutely. So now that leads me to my next question. Obviously, the ancestral staff and how you had already introduced the fact that living humbly, yet all these doors were opened. And so because of this staff, he has been able to travel worldwide and come to be involved in a political arena as well as a spiritual guide.
Yeah, just to be clear for people tuning in, because if somebody would say, well, all you need is a passport and you're Canadian or American and all that. I want to emphasize the places where he's had access to, right? Both institutions and localities. Tiene que encender tu micrófono, Fuchi. Is basically, ahora sí. Is basically places where you can't get, even if you had the money, even if you had normal political call, you wouldn't be allowed in for X, Y, Z. Because sometimes he goes into places which are political and social, like the powder kegs, right?
Wow. So then walking into this sort of political arena, and is this what presented him into the United Nations and to become a member of the International Coordinating Committee and World Summit panelist at United Nations? Could he tell us a little bit about that path and how did Spirit bring him forth to that?
Basado en lo que se dijo, yo traduje de nuevo del acceso que Ofunshi, el bastón, espiritualidad de ese bastón, de tu familia, del peso de tus ancestros, de lo que conlleva, y que te abre las puertas a la tierra. Ella pregunta cómo fue la trayectoria después de empezar ese trabajo y de visitar todas esas tierras y ayudar a las personas, tratar de comunicar con las personas. ¿Cómo es el viaje? ¿Cómo el espíritu se manifiesta y te ayuda a poder trabajar con las Naciones Unidas? O sea, ¿cuál es el proceso que te lleva a Naciones Unidas?
No solamente Naciones Unidas, sino también a lo que es derechos humanos. Naciones Unidas viene por derechos humanos.
Actually, his access to United Nations comes from the Human Rights Council.
Por tanto, para nosotros es una responsabilidad. Para nosotros, cualquiera persona espiritual, cualquiera persona religiosa, de cualquier culto religioso, que desgraciadamente se ha perdido ese lado de lo que le llamamos la verdadera espiritualidad, si no estamos conscientes de la importancia de luchar por los derechos humanos, que no es más que respetar al otro sin dominar o manipular al otro, entonces también es algo que se pierde, que no puede, si de yo ser así, no puedo portar ese staff, ese garabato.
So, understanding that human rights is, in essence, the respect for human dignity, the respect for the fellow human being, and the responsibility, the weight or the mantle of also advocating for that respect, advocating for those human rights, then he would not be worthy. If he did not do that, if he did not actually carry that forth and do that work, he feels he would not be worthy of the staff or worthy of the trust and the responsibility his ancestors deposited.
A mí no me importa, a mí no me importa dónde yo esté. Yo siempre voy a hacer los Ofunshi y no me voy a dejar adoctrinar por nadie, pero sí me voy a dejar adoctrinar por el arquitecto del universo.
Yeah, he says no matter where he is, he's Ofunshi, and he cannot allow himself to be indoctrinated by individual countries or persons' agendas, but only be indoctrinated by the universal architect or God or creator.
Okay.
Por ejemplo, aquí en los Estados Unidos.
Example, here in the States.
Las masacres y los asesinatos, tanto de los negros afroamericanos como de la minoría eso nosotros como chamanes, como babalawo, tenemos una responsabilidad de rezar, de invocar que se frene toda esa energía compleja.
Yeah. So let me be. I'm gonna translate what he said, but I'm also gonna add an additional comment to that because I agree with him. He says that it is our responsibility as a babalawo, as a shaman, not just Ofunshi, not just himself, but to basically intercede, to pray, to do offerings, and to bring forth a message in support of those who are, victims of injustice. And he cites, examples of, blacks in America,
Absolutely.
and other minorities, not just blacks, but other minority people that have had their basic human rights, trodden on and everything else, right?
Absolutely.
Lo,
Absolutely.
lo que sucede, por ejemplo, en Centroamérica, donde tenemos amigos, chamanes, tanto chamanas, chamanes, los grandes cambios bruscos de la naturaleza, que nosotros como chamanes tenemos, o como babalaos, tenemos la capacidad de predecirlo. Tenemos también que tratar de lograr con esas predicciones que la gente se sume y esté más consciente a lo que es prevención, porque todo lo que está aconteciendo actualmente, nosotros sabíamos de tiempo que iba a suceder. Por tanto, es importantísimo lo que es poner el asunto de la prevención, y eso es nuestra responsabilidad como chamanes, como religiosos, como espiritualistas. Tenemos una responsabilidad con la humanidad.
Yes, he says not, and he used the example of, shamans and spiritual leaders in Central America, but really is a general example worldwide. That as babalaos and shamans, as spiritually gifted people, we're warned of upcoming events or situations well in advance, and that certain behavior of society or communities will eventually lead to down a certain path and certain calamities. Anyway, he says that he believes that it is a collective responsibility of all the spiritual leaders to not just, foretell, like for instance in Miami or in Cuba, we do the letra del año, in other words, where we do the predictions for the year. But it's not enough to just do the prediction, to see it coming and say, hey, warning, it's coming, but to actively work towards averting it, making changes, educating, doing offering, whatever form and all the forms it takes, but taking an active role, not just a passive, letting literally the proverbial shit hit the fan, right?
Es responsabilidad, por ejemplo, es responsabilidad de nosotros de educar a todos esos individuos que se unen o entran a la espiritualidad afro, voy a decir, o chifá o descendiente africana, con aquello de que le va a caer del cielo sacos o bolsas de dinero, pero de una manera dañina, atroz, irrespetuosa.
Yeah, he says it's our responsibility as well for to teach the next generation, the younger generation, especially that are coming into Afro-descendant belief systems, whether that be Orisha, whether that be Ifa, whether that be Palo, Nkisi, or whatever form it takes, that not to focus or not to do so or to operate in that with a only goal or the only interest being, or the thought being that, I'm going to get sacks and sacks of money. There a lot of people that say, I'm going to initiate because it's going to make me rich, or I'm going to initiate because it's going to solve my economical problems. And he's saying, no, like the idea is to teach a deeper consciousness about responsibility and what you have to give back to the society, to your communities, to the world.
Absolutely.
And it's not about that, bags of money coming from heaven type of thing.
No, and again, it's
Desgraciadamente,
passing of the baton, right?
Yeah,
Of the
exactly,
staff,
exactly.
so to speak, you know?
por ejemplo, vamos a hablar de lo que está sucediendo actualmente aquí en los Estados Unidos con relación a las elecciones.
Uh-huh.
Nuestro trabajo como Babalawo, Shaman, es mirar las cosas como, por ejemplo, o sea, yo analizo lo que está aconteciendo como Baba y Yobe, ¿no? Dos líneas paralelas que no se pueden unir, pero está que no hay noche sin día. Por tanto, tenemos que ser capaces de tomarnos el tiempo de reflexionar de cómo el día, cuando está oscureciendo, le hace entrega a la noche, porque hay cosas que se puede hacer de día que de noche no se puede hacer. Pero ese proceso de tribulación es un proceso de negociar, es un proceso de consenso, es un proceso donde el día le dice a la noche, ok, ahora entras tú puedes hacer o no deshacer, o hacer lo que puedes y no puedes hacer. Por tanto, vivimos un momento histórico donde desgraciadamente vemos que por razones políticas, por razones injustificadas de COVID, las personas se agreden entre sí, las familias se matan entre sí, el nivel de desrespeto, de desbalance, de agresividad que hay en todos los niveles de la sociedad es inmenso. Y eso es parte de espiritualidad. Por tanto, nosotros tenemos la responsabilidad de tratar de balancear todo eso que está aconteciendo.
Yeah. So basically, it makes two comments in terms of, again, it's the same theme, but again, is the role of the spiritual leaders, shamans, babalawo, and any denomination. He used the example of Eyobe. There were two parallel lines, two lines that are parallel but they never intersect, right? And the idea of the night and the day, that the night, there's a sense of passing on the responsibility from day, because there are things you can do in the day and there are things you can only do at night, and passing it on gracefully from one force or one time of day to the other. And the other thing is with the COVID, again, seeing all the violence, all the problems that exist socially, all the violence, also exacerbated by the COVID, and to try to bring, again, a deeper consciousness and because of this lack of spirituality, to help people to see things in more spiritual light.
No, for sure.
El otro ejemplo real de mi experiencia aportando a Ofunshi, que es el staff, haber tenido la oportunidad de, por ejemplo, poder ayudar, trabajar con clínicas o medicina alternativa, y el ejemplo está en negociar con IQ, negociar con la muerte. Y ahora voy a explicar un poquito sobre negociar con la muerte.
It says also, part of the secret or aspect of the staff of Ofunshi is the need for the shaman or to with the herbs, with plants and natural medicine. He's had the opportunity to put this into play or into effect in places he's traveled. Is really what the shaman or the babalawo is doing, is negotiating with Iku. Iku is death. Actually speaking with death and negotiating with it. He's going to explain what he means by that.
Okay.
Por ejemplo, muchos de mis clientes, y es lo que más disfruto, la salud, Muchos, los médicos, la ciencia lo han mandado para la casa a morir.
Yeah, he says
Así.
many of the patients or many clients he deals with are patients of health issues. And some extreme examples, patients that Western medicine has basically said, go home and die because, we can't treat you. There's nothing we can do.
El ejemplo
And they
está,
made a full recovery.
el ejemplo está, por ejemplo, en la madre de mis niños.
An example is his wife.
Que fue que gracias a Ifá, gracias a Orunmila, pudimos detectarle un cáncer que la ciencia, con todos los equipos sofisticados, no había encontrado.
It says an example, in first person example is his wife, who thanks to Orunmila, a cancer, Ifa warned of a cancer in his wife, one with all the modern equipment and all the modern medicine, they weren't able to detect.
Wow.
La mandaron a casa a morir y le dieron 3 meses.
They originally, when they did find it, they said, "Oh, you're in stage 4, like you're late stage," and they gave her 3 months to live.
Y gracias a ese entrenamiento de años,
and thanks to that treatment,
gracias a ese entrenamiento de años, pudo durar 3 años y medio.
And instead of 3 months,
los médicos decían, ¿qué pasa aquí?
And he says, thanks to that training of a whole lifetime, 30 years, where they said that his wife would die in under 3 months, she actually lived 3.5 years, to the point where the doctor said, "What are you doing? How is this possible?"
Wow.
Una de mis clientas con un cáncer bucal terminal duró 14 años.
Even one of his patients or clients with a mouth cancer, terminal, again, discounted to live short time, lived 14 years.
Wow.
Y eso es lo que hace que uno pueda creer. Eso hace lo que uno cada día profundice en esa conexión con la naturaleza, con mamá, la naturaleza.
And that is that knowledge that
como Babalawo and Shaman.
Like it's Babalawo and Shaman.
Now, I have a question in regard. Sorry.
Go ahead, Teresa. Stop.
I have a question in regards to not only his training as a Babalawo and as a shaman, but his University of Cuba, his education. How did that all come to actually help him?
Él dice, cambiando un poquito la parte de Babalawo y religiosa, ¿cómo tu misma educación o entrenamiento en la Universidad de La Habana te ayudó a lo que tú haces hoy, en esa parte académica?
Es que el saber no ocupa espacio. Baudry. Eso se debe al entrenamiento desde pequeño.
Yeah. That all knowledge is good.
Cuando uno llega a la universidad,
waste space.
True.
O sea,
I thought maybe the education that he received, helped his political, agenda and that of his spiritual path.
In what way, Teresa? Sorry, I missed that.
Did he take, for example, did he take
hay un problema del audio. Hay un problema del audio.
No, yo escucho bien, pero lo que trato de entender lo que ella quiere preguntarte para transmitirte la esencia de lo que ella quiere saber. Sorry, Teresa, say that again.
Did he take anything at the university level to prepare him for like a political science? Was there something that he took, courses that helped him with his political agenda at the United Nations?
Ella pregunta si en tu curso de la universidad tú adquiriste algún conocimiento o experiencia que te ayudó en ese papel que tú hiciste en las Naciones Unidas. O sea, hasta qué punto tu educación, tu instrucción en la universidad te ayudó o te pudo ayudar más allá de la religión, también te pudo ayudar en tu papel en las Naciones Unidas.
Como dije, cuando cuando paso por la Universidad de La Habana, ya yo era Ofunshi. Mi entrenamiento, mi educación, mi formación, la comienzo yo desde pequeño. A la edad de 6 años ya yo sanaba. Estoy hablando de 6 años. Entonces, simplemente mi formación antes de la universidad fue la que me formó a mí. La universidad simplemente te da la posibilidad de expandir un poco tu conocimiento. En mi caso, que estudié antropología con el profesor maravilloso Sardoya, antropología religiosa, social religiosa, pero yo no puedo darle todo el crédito a la universidad. Yo tengo que darle crédito antes de entrar a la universidad. Yo tengo que darle el crédito a esa conexión muy holística que yo tenía con los diferentes grupos sociales. Estudiar desde pequeño, estar en un ambiente donde se hablaba tanto de política como de religión, como de espiritualidad, como de todo. Porque en un pasado uno se sentaba con los ancianos a leerle la prensa, a intercambiarla, a escuchar, cosa que no sucede ahora. Entonces, eso, la base antes de entrar a la universidad fue la que me llevó a poder estar en Naciones Unidas, poder estar en África, poder estar en Centroamérica, poder estar en todos esos países que yo he estado haciendo el trabajo que debo hacer.
Yeah, so
do you understand?
Yeah. You're paraphrasing and shortening a little bit. Basically, he says since age 6, he was already healing people. Okay, and by the time he came into university, he was already Ofunshi, had already been past the staff. He says, like anything else, he had the privilege of some good professors and all that allow you to expand, and have other people's perspective and all that. But he says he can't give all that much credit to the university experience in terms of doing that, because in his childhood, he had a very diverse, family in which they expressed and commented and discussed ideas freely, contrary to what many think, and that really shaped his mind, right, in terms of being open to different approaches, different things. And so university just sort of was I'd say I'm adding this is more like the icing on the cake, just to expand a little bit. But the basis of 3 years is his family upbringing.
También tengo que darle crédito, en cualquier lugar que yo habla el gungun. Yo me subordino a el gungun. Por tanto, cuando yo hablo en cualquier lugar, ya sea en cualquier lugar, es el gungun en habla. Y el gungun viaja.
Yeah. He says, and he also has to, he subordinates to Egungun, in other words, to the ancestor, to the ancestors who speak, because many times it's not him who's speaking, or him who's bringing forth the knowledge, or him who's bringing the solution, or him who's bringing forth the message. It's spirit who's doing it.
Spirit,
So
his ancestors.
It's not about academic, and he says Egungun, his ancestors collectively, but ancestor traveled many lands. Do you understand? Like they've been around.
Right.
Right.
Esos son los,
Now,
esos son los que tienen el mérito.
Those are the ones that have the merit, or those are the ones that bring the secret sauce to the solution, right?
Okay. So I want to ask, I notice when he speaks in third party. The name Ofunshi, does it stand for something, or is it represent?
His staff is Ofunshi. So it's you inherit that name. The moment you carry the staff, you become Ofunshi. It's like president,
Okay.
right? Like once you win the election, you carry the name Mr. President or President.
Okay, so
Ofunshi
is an actual title,
the encapsulation or the name that is really representative and that is assigned to the staff.
Okay, all right, now I understand. So then Oba means king, does it not? So
Oba Koso, yeah, but that's his Oba Koso, tu nombre Oba Koso es por tu coronación, ¿no? Por Chango.
Sí.
Sí, that's because
sí.
that's his.
Tengo
Shango. Yeah, he has Shango crown. In his Ori, he has Shango. So he is crown Shango, and the name Oba Koso is one of the titular or honorific names of Shango.
Of Shango, okay, all right.
Okay,
so Ofunshi is an
base de
actual
familia.
title.
Yeah, but Ofunshi es base de familia, es Gungun, es el staff.
Exactly, it's the staff.
Okay, so Ofunshi is actually the staff or the title of
Which
he's the carrier.
Exactly.
He's que aportarlo es mi nombre.
Yeah, you applique. And the moment that he is, the staff is passed to him, the baton is passed, it becomes his name. It's the same thing, like using the term Mr. President, right? It's the office. It represents the office and the sacred power.
Okay, I understand now. All right, well, I'm done my questions. I know I'm going to pass the baton now to you, Jean-Jerome, to pick that up. But also, we have a statement here by Vianney before we do that. Vianney says, it's amazing to see the difference of being brought up in an environment in which spirit and mediumship is nurtured, exactly, instead of being suppressed.
I'll say it in Spanish. Es sorprendente ver la diferencia de crecer en un ambiente en el cual el espíritu o espiritualidad o mediunidad es nutrido y no oprimido.
Es que la opresión es falta de conocimiento. Cuando se oprime una persona, se oprime una persona por dos razones. O miedo a que esa persona doblegue a uno, o tenga más conocimiento que uno, o el brillo de esa persona bloquea a uno, o simplemente la falta de capacidad hace que eso suceda.
Sorry. He's saying that, really, when you have intolerance or abuse of somebody's human rights or anything else, really it's one of two things really causing it. One is a fear, right? Fear that the person is going to be more successful or more capable or somehow take something from you, right? Or ignorance, essentially, just not having the broader knowledge or the broader perspective of a situation, right?
Okay.
So, en mi entrenamiento, o como yo entreno a las personas, es sacando lo mejor de sí en las personas. O sea, nunca oprimir. Espiritualidad es algo natural, es algo abierto, que no se puede oprimir. Vivimos en un mundo de opresión espiritual. Cuando digo un mundo de opresión espiritual, es que, hablando en sentido figurado, nos moleste el brillo del otro, la envidia, la falsedad, el mal concepto de Osobbo, porque hay un mal concepto de Osobbo. Cuando se dice Osobbo, automáticamente se piensa en lo malo, cuando de mi cosmovisión Osobbo no es negativo, sino es preventivo.
Exactly. So he start with the last thing he said. He said with the term Osobbo, Osobbo, it has some kind of negative connotation. When somebody comes out in a reading Osobbo, Ayewu, is that it's something bad. And he says, no, in his understanding, it's not something bad. It is actually the ability to prevent or to alter something from becoming bad and acting on it, not just sitting on your laurels, acting on it. The other thing he says is that he talks about poverty of spirit by, in our time, he tries to bring out the best in his apprentices and his students. He tries to bring out the best in everybody, in human beings and his, people that are under him and so forth, so that they can flourish, so they can really reach the pinnacle of their capacity and their capabilities. But he says we live in a time when there's a poverty of spirit because people are jealous of each other's gifts. They want to sort of, diminish their gifts because they're afraid of the light of one exposing the inadequacies in the other.
Absolutely. Silly,
Okay,
instead of
¿cuántas
coming
preguntas
together.
nos queda?
Hay alguna. Una que te preguntaron aquí es más elaborada que fue al principio. Esta es de una señora que es, ella está iniciada en Vodou, está iniciado también en Ifa, y ella dice, I would like to say that it is my understanding that there's a subtle difference between a Babalawo and a shaman. Shamans communicate via trance states, while the Babalawo communicates via Ifa divination and Odu interpretations, right?
Very good, Melba.
Para traducir lo que dice Melba, que ella dice que ella en su entender, ella está iniciada en Vodou y también en Ifa. No sé si ella en Ifa, pero sé que Vodou está iniciada y en ciertas cosas oricha. Porque ella tiene también una cultura y una ancestría un poco mixta, de Togo, de Benín, etc. Ella dice que en su entender la diferencia entre un babalao sutil, entre un babalao y un chamán, el chamán se comunica a través de trance, mientras que el babalao comunica a través de Ifa y la interpretación de Odu de Ifa. Tu opinión sobre ese comentario y después yo voy a comentar también.
Mi opinión, con el mayor respeto de Melba, pienso que de la manera que ella lo mira está equivocada. Y está equivocada porque no todo chamán hace trance, por ejemplo. Por eso aclaré desde el principio, una persona vidente, yo no necesito tener trance para comunicar lo que puedo ver.
Okay.
Por tanto, respetando las reglas de Ifa, respetando el ABC, respetando los Odun, o la adivinación, sea por el Equele o Tefando o por el Obbi, uno comunica, habla sobre el Odun, pero a la misma vez, cuando usted tiene un ejército ancestral responsable, sin necesidad de pasar transfer, en mi caso, que soy vidente, uno agrega, como dije un momento anteriormente hablé, uno simplemente agrega esa información que uno está recibiendo de manera natural, sin pasar trance, la agrega a esa adivinación y el 99% de los casos, en mi experiencia, ha coincidido cuando se analiza el Oldum de manera profunda y no superficial, como muchas personas estudian el IFA de hoy. Por eso, antes de yo llegar a la IFA, pasé muchos años de práctica, de entrenamiento, de entendimiento, donde la paciencia, donde una palabra se reflexiona de manera profunda. Por ejemplo, hablé sobre Osobbo. Para muchos, cuando se menciona Osobbo, automáticamente piensan en lo malo, cuando Osobbo es preventivo. Si me dice Ibbi, eso es otra cosa. Pero eso no quiere decir que tú vas a morir o que lo vas a perder todo. Es que dentro de la prevención, en dependencia de lo que tú hagas, tú vas a solucionar. Por tanto, la dicha de ser vidente me permite a mí, o me da la oportunidad a mí, y como yo hay muchos, de poder ampliar ese espectro. Porque no todo chamán pasa trance.
Exacto.
Eso.
Voy a tratar de resumir y traducir al mismo tiempo. Melba, Boyeya, I thank you for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to receive your messages or to have you with us. Ofunshi basically says respectfully that he doesn't agree with your summation or conclusion about or delineation of shaman and Babalawo. So, and he qualifies that because he says that not all shamans must fall into trance, but many shamans have a gift of sight or some other tool that allows them to divine, to see, or to be able to know what's going on in a particular situation. And what Ofunshi is saying is that his own practice as a Babalawo, respecting the framework of Ifa with divination and interpretation of Odu Ifa, that the ability, given he has the ability of sight, he has mediumship that doesn't fall into trance, that when spirit speaks or when he's looking at the Odu, spirit will inform him or give him additional context of what's going on. And if someone were to delve deeper into the Odus of Ifa, and we all know that, as we said earlier, Ifa, like many other African spiritual beliefs, are been orally transmitted. Not everybody has all the Odus, or all the context of the Odu, all the Ifa of the Odus, or all the life experiences of those Odus. And that's why Obedi says the wisdom was spread out throughout the world, and can be found in different places in different forms. But what he says is that in his practice, being informed by spirit, it gives him an additional level of depth, of certainty, of clarity that helps to bring out other details or aspects of Ifa, of the Odus, that the Odus are speaking, but that help to solve the problem of the person is facing. If we look at it, there are many traditions, especially in Vodun Fa, many Bokonos do sometimes consult the Fa in a semi-state of trance or possession, or simply because they are also gifted Eligu, or mediums, but that doesn't mean they fall full-blown into possession, but that they are being informed of basically what's going on. In Ifa, in even Afro-descendant Ifa, and even in traditional Ifa in West Africa, there is a sometimes misunderstood concept which is called Iponri. And Iponri is the message or the essence of Odu Ifa and Kuche Ifa that is transmitted to the mind of the Awu. In Vodun Fa, in Fagbasa, in the school of Jisa, one of the 4 schools of Fa that came to West Africa, which was Gongon, Jisa, Abokobi, Ato, those 4 schools, Jisa was known for encouraging the vision and the mediumship while interpreting Oduvifa. Because again, it was oral. And what difference is it to hear it orally or the interpretation of the Odu from a living person than to hear it from an ancestor which has that experience? And in many cases, in Vodunfa, Bokonos are chosen, much like Ofunshi was chosen to carry his staff of Ofunshi, by the fact that their guiding spirit, their ancestral spiritual guide, was in turn a Bokono. And they swear not with Badu, not with Ibaodu, but they swear on the shrine of the ancestral Bokonos. So that's a different context or a different level. But it is my also experience for now. I've been initiated for 10 years as an Awo, and I've had the privilege of working with Bokonos, Babalaos from both West Africa, in Nigeria, and also Afro-Cuban Babalaos. And as I said, I've seen many things in those 10 years that support that concept, right? So I hope we've answered your question, and thank you so much for the question. And we're always happy to receive new one. Carmela, hello, Carmela.
Hi, Carmela.
I was guided to go and find a staff to help me with my path, and was guided to add items to it for strength, and I can really feel the power from it. Okay, un comentario. Dice que ella, su muerto, le dijeron de conseguir un bastón y cargarlo con diferentes cosas para darle un refuerzo a ella, para trabajar con los muertos. Ella pregunta, how many other cultures have a staff that they use? Carmela, in order to ask that question, Ofunshi, can you qualify that? When you say how many other cultures have a staff that they use, can you let me know what you mean by that? You mean like within his background or lineage, or you mean worldwide or in West African spirituality? If you could clarify that, I'll be happy to ask him that question. Okay, here's a question. How many generations has the staff been passed down? Also, do other families have this? Entonces, él pregunta, Daniel Forleta fue iniciado en su mano Orula, Icefa, de Cuba, pero de una rama tradicional, no afro-cubana, sino, tú sabes, del nuevo grupo de tradicional.
Sí.
Él pregunta cuántas generaciones, él es cubano también, cuántas generaciones ha descendido tu bastón Ofunshi, si tú conoces de cuántas generaciones ha sido pasada, y segundo, si otra familia dentro de, ¿tú entiendes?, la comunidad o eso, tienen una tradición parecida o tienen eso.
Parte de mi familia viene de África. De África. Y el bastón, mi abuelo murió de 106. Tengo entendido que mi bisabuelo murió de unos cerca de los 100.
Correcto, es un usted.
Pienso que que yo sepa, más de 2 o 3 generaciones.
Estaban en las fronteras.
Sorry, 12, 13 o 2 o 3? No escuché bien.
Más de 2 o 3 generaciones.
Yeah, more than 2 or 3 generations at least have passed this baton on.
Lo que yo te puedo garantizarles que
But what I can guarantee you is
que fue portado por mi abuelo y por mi bisabuelo. Mi abuelo murió de 106, mi bisabuelo de unos 97 a 28 años. Fueron unos cuantos años.
Yeah, he says at least he can tell you that his grandfather lived to 106 and he had it with him, and his great-grandfather died at 97 and had it with him till death. So at least he can account for those generations.
Contiene aproximadamente unos 306 elementos fósiles en miniatura, en fragmentos.
Yeah, it says that the staff contains at least 306 different fossilized elements or ingredients.
Wow.
Principalmente de mar y de árboles sagrados.
From elements from the ocean and from the trees, sacred trees.
Entonces, yo recuerdo que cuando yo empecé a botarlo, siendo yo joven, me daba pena. Imagínate, joven, tenía que botarlo donde quiera.
He goes everywhere with that, eh? Like I've seen him. He goes everywhere with that. And he says when he was a young guy, you can imagine it was a little awkward to be carrying this thing around, like, to a party or to, but it always has to go with him, right?
Hasta yo recuerdo un día que me dije, lo voy a dejar escondido. Y yo no me voy a aparecer donde yo iba.
Daniel dice, coño, wow.
Y yo recuerdo que un día yo lo dejé escondido y me fui para una fiesta. Casi me cuesta la vida, casi no regreso.
He says that, being a young guy, right? Imagine he's going to parties, going to school, he's carrying this thing everywhere he goes. And one day he said, "Oh, you know what? Like, I got to leave this behind." So he left it behind and he went to a party. And he says he almost didn't survive. He almost didn't come back alive from that party.
Me costó 2 años sin caminar.
He was 2 years without being able to walk.
Por falta de respeto.
For just being disrespectful.
Wow.
Y de ahí aprendí la lección.
And he learned his lesson right there.
Yo soy como Santo Tomás. Para yo creer, yo tengo que ver. Yo disfruto ver el resultado.
Yeah. He was a little bit like St. Thomas, see to believe, right?
Disfruto la espiritualidad.
He enjoys the spirituality, but he likes to see it manifest. But he definitely got a proof of, don't leave the staff at home type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pero la base
don't leave home without it.
Yeah.
Lo que aprendí es la modestia y el ser modesto.
Uh-huh.
Con ese accidente aprendí a ser modesto, ser respetuoso y aprendí a honrar, porque no sabía el concepto de honrar, pero no hasta que tuve el accidente.
He says he was always taught, to have respect, to be humble, to honor, the traditions, but it never became so crystal clear and concrete after the accident. And that accident from that party where he left the staff at home really crystallized the importance of humility, the importance of honoring your tradition, the importance of having that fidelity in terms of, carrying through and not, stop not doing it because it's inconvenient or not easy, right?
Recuerdo que me iban a amputar la pierna derecha.
He remembers they were going to amputate his right leg.
Y gracias a mi difunta mamá, chamana.
And thanks to his mother, his deceased mom, who's a shaman.
Tenía hecho Shun.
She was crowned Oshun.
Y gracias a ese staff, yo logré caminar.
And thanks to that, to her knowledge and all that, he was able to walk again.
Hay muchos secretos detrás de ese staff, muchos secretos.
Ken wanted to know would it be able to show the staff, or would it be disrespectful?
No, it's not disrespectful. Ofunshi, ¿tú tienes a Ofunshi el bastón cerca de ti?
No.
No.
Lo tengo bajo el sereno. Porque a veces le gusta la noche.
Yeah, it's receiving. He has it outside. under the boom, under so he doesn't have it right next to him right now. But one sec.
Se alimenta con la energía natural.
It feeds off natural energy.
Es como si fuera un panel solar.
It's like, think of it like a solar panel. It's recharging.
Absolutely.
2 minutos. Si no tienen más preguntas.
Are you trying to find a picture of it, Jean-Jerome?
Yeah, dame 2 segundos para enseñar la foto de ahí. Un segundo.
Sí, la de con tu
¿Tú
mamá.
tienes guite? Ya, ¿tú tienes guite?
Tengo que irme en 5 minutos para atender a los muchachos.
Okay, está bien. He has to go in 5 minutes because he has to take care of his kids. So
Ahora soy mamá y papá, entonces tengo que
his mother and father now because of his wife just passed away, right? So everybody,
right.
no
My
problem.
condolences.
Voy a hacer rápido aquí.
Pero mientras que esté buscando, tengo que agradecerle también solamente mi presencia en este evento a
mom.
Ahí con tu mamá.
Yeah. Yeah, with my mom.
Look how young you were, Jean-Jerome. Just a wee pup.
Yeah, not that long ago. A few years.
Tengo que agradecerle antes de terminar. Tengo que agradecerle a.
No,
wow.
Nice.
There's a better picture.
Nice. So is it full? Like, can he walk with this staff, or is it?
No.
Okay.
It's like a baton. I mean, you can see the height.
Yes,
from his head to the table right there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Claro, en esa foto no tenía cana. Ahí no tenía cana.
He says I didn't have gray hairs on my beard in this picture.
No, for sure. So anyway, so I know that Ofunshi has to leave, and so I want to say thank you so much for coming on our show and giving us a wonderful insight into this. I've never heard anything like this. I find this fascinating, and you're not just a run-of-the-mill Babalawo, you're an actual shaman. I think that's amazing. I really do. So I thank you very much for coming on our show tonight, for sure. And Jean-Jerome, did you want to have any parting words?
Yeah, mi hermano, muchísimas gracias por venir en el programa. Te queremos, te me cuidas, mi respeto para...
Tengo que agradecer a ti, tengo que agradecer también al espíritu de tu mamá que facilitó este encuentro por mediación de sueños. No sé si me pueden ustedes escuchar bien.
Sí, te escuchamos. He's saying he wants to especially thank the spirit of my mom.
Thank you, mother.
Thanks to dreams. He came into the dream and had a discussion that led him to contact me and say, your mom came in a dream. We were talking and I said, hey, would you like to come on the show this Friday? Because that's what my mom is saying. So,
tengo que agradecerle a Kim Bemi, a Oyafunke Ainat, a Oshumaria Beni, a Ogun Bemi, a Maurilio, a Pamela María Rivera, a Juan Rivera, y tengo que agradecerle a usted, Teresa, tengo que agradecerle a todas esas personas maravillosas que de una forma u otra han sido partícipes de este evento. Pero antes de cerrar, voy a cerrar haciendo un llamado a la unidad, un llamado a armonizar con la naturaleza, haciendo un llamado a minimizar las discrepancias en busca siempre del consenso. Y como siempre digo, iré Ocheun Otan, iré Uyoko para el mundo entero. Yo no soy cubano, yo soy internacional. Yo soy donde me coja la noche. Yo soy como el viento. Babalawo, Shaman, Ofunshi es como el viento. Pero ese viento puro que trae siempre ese lado positivo que tanta falta hace en nuestra sociedad. Abogo también a la no violencia a la mujer, teniendo en cuenta el aumento con relación a la pandemia. No olvidemos que venimos de ahí, a los niños y a los ancianos. Ashe y Boru.
Ashe. He basically he thanks, you know, a series of both living and as people that have passed away in his family. He thanks you, Teresa, for you know, he prays for spiritual unity and the respect of women. To remember a reminder that we come from women. So, you know, with this pandemic, to stop with spousal abuse, and you know, try to be a little kinder to each other and more loving, and have bubuide, and a blessing of firmness, a blessing of many blessings in terms of, you know, life and everything that it can offer if we welcome it and nature with humility, respect, and love.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so true. Very, very gifted your message was.
Hermano, muchas gracias.
Thank you, gracias.
Nos vemos. Nos vemos. Cuídate. Cheburu. Chao, chao.
Okay.
Okay. Well, everybody.
Well, that was amazing. I've never met anybody like that, you know, and something that has passed down, you know, and wow, you know, and to be able to travel the world, and something you and I were talking about privately, he has a foundation. Is that correct? That
yeah, he has a not-for-profit organization, LLC,
in helping people with human rights, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and there we go.
There's Mojo watching it, our most loyal, four-legged, furry friend we have.
He's so cute. Hi,
He's
Mojo.
Definitely cute. And there's Beth.
Oh,
with
look
Mojo.
at him. Oh my God, he's looking like a grown cat now. Oh, there's Beth.
There's Beth.
Look at he's all grown up. Oh, Mojo. Yeah. Where's little Titi? Little Titi. Titi. Where is she?
I don't know. Great show, como siempre. Angus says. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to make it clear, because again, we tried to you know, do the show and talk about, you know, everything, the different topics and the background and so forth, and perhaps people didn't fully catch that Ofunshi's wife passed away recently, just a few months ago, after only given 3 months to live, but with Ifa's help and you know, knowledge of, you know, a lot of natural remedies and all that, she was able to live, you know, an extra 3.5 years almost. So
wow,
and it's a testament to that, you know,
and him as a healer.
Him as a healer, and he's very humble. What I like about Ofunshi is that he gives, we say in Spanish, that give to Caesar what is of Caesar, give to God what is of God. And he pulls on his, you know, ancestral roots, that ancestral knowledge, which is greatly influenced by the Tico and the Congo influence, and Ofunshi, you know, the ancestral lineage in that.
You can see it.
And it's I've seen him in action, And but he respects Ifa, and he's always gone. He respects Ifa, and to Melba's question, he really does respect the Odus of Ifa. He respects Orumila, and respects the method of divination. But again, it's that aspect of having his ancestor. He wouldn't be. Let's put it this way: if his ancestor didn't want him to become a Babalawo, he would never. With his ancestral heritage, they wouldn't have. They would have blocked it. So he's very respectful of Ifa, very respectful of Orumila, very grateful to Orumila.
Very fascinating. You know, the more I learn about the African traditional religions and of Cuba, it is so rich in culture and in spiritual belief systems. You know, we're very fortunate that we're able to, you know, have this show and bring forth people from these traditions and shed a light on them that no other show or anybody else really knows. I mean, there's only so much you can read about in books, but actually having friends and bringing them on the show as guests to really talk about these faiths and these
100%.
belief systems, I think it really is, honestly, you know. And as he had said at the beginning of our show, is that our show is actually being, you know, watched worldwide and respected in the community of other African traditional religions. So thank you to all those who tune in and appreciate the show as much as
Most
we do
definitely.
too, and enjoy. You know, so I'm going to say good night to everyone who tuned in. Thank you once again for tuning in. And just to give you a heads up, I know we said it before, I haven't created anything yet, but I've been really busy. But we are going to have a December 18th sort of party. As I've said, it's an online party. And Jean-Jerome said we can have up to 10 people. So we're going to be sending out some invitations, and this will be sort of an end of season. Sort of a wrap up, and we'll invite some of our favorite guests and some who just want to show up, and some audience members as well. So just a reminder, December 18th is going to be our year-end Christmas party, New Year's party. It's you know, and after that, we're not going to tune in until probably January, and you know, we'll have some new ideas and stuff. So anyway, so thank you everybody who tuned in. Thank you, Jean-Jerome, for everything that you do, always behind the scenes, and greatly appreciated, and our loyal following too. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this show as much as we have, and our guests are amazing. They really are. I'm really happy to have them all. Okay.
All right,
So,
everybody. Good night. Many blessings. We love you all.
yes.
Be safe. Remember, Toronto, Peel are going into lockdown, pretty much lockdown on Monday. So, you know, if you've got things to do, groceries and all that, be safe. But, you know, have a little bit more, although the grocery store will still be open, but you'll have a little bit more flexibility to go this weekend, I think. Otherwise, Monday, things are going to be very restricted.
Oh no, what does that mean? The stores are going to be closed?
Gyms are closed, hairstylists are closed, cinemas are closed, malls and like food courts are only takeout. All restaurants are takeout and delivery only. So
but the stores are still opened, right? Because I have to go shopping tomorrow. I need toilet paper and paper towels.
But this is only in the hot spots. So this is Peel primarily, and which is outside of Toronto a little bit, and Toronto. So Toronto and Peel region. So like Mississauga, Brampton, that type of thing, they're
in lockdown.
Yeah. So we're in lockdown.
So can they still go to the stores, or is it going to be back to counting how many people are allowed in?
100%. It's counting how many people are allowed in, and all those restrictions, maximum numbers in the stores, and almost like back in March. Like we're going back to the March time frame. The only difference is kids are still going to school. So anyways, want everybody to be safe. Many blessings.
Be safe, everybody.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Gracias a todos que nos están viendo. Muchas gracias por vernos. Muchas bendiciones. Cuídense. Los queremos. Bye-bye. Good night, everybody.
Okay. Good night. Bye.